Hello and welcome to the bonus video of the EQ Advantage. My name is Jamie, and if you are watching this, it's because you were at the presentation at the conference. I hope it was an awesome conference for you, and we're just going to dive right into it. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint, and the reason that I need to share my screen first. The reason that I wanted to do this is because when we talk about EQ, I always talk about the three B's. And so during the conference, we talked about the brain and the body, but I just knew that there was no way that we were going to be able to like really do it justice for the beliefs because the beliefs are such a really big part of EQ. So I wanted to give us just a few minutes. I'm going to set my timer here so that I can stay on track. Just a few minutes of a bonus, some bonus content for you guys that will give you some more strategies to use with your teams in the workplace to build their EQ. All right. So, like I said, in the original workshop, we talked about the brain and the body. The third B is the beliefs, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. Oh, I need to move this over for you guys. Okay. All right. So when we talk about beliefs, I like to kind of define this as a belief is any thought that is on repeat. Okay. And I'm going to get to the image here in a minute that you see this sledding hill. But a belief is any thought that is on repeat. And here's how the brain works with our thoughts. Okay. So I'm going to use an example like a work example. So let's say that it's my first day on the job and I've had my coffee and I'm super excited. And so I sit down at my desk and I see that there's a coworker who I have not met, obviously, because it's my first day on the job. So I'm like, hi, my name's Jamie. It's so nice to meet you. And she just kind of like looks at me and is like, hello. My first thought might be, oh, she's not very nice. Okay. And then let's say like, I just like stay at my computer, I'm like learning all the things. And then for lunch, I'm like, hey, do you want to go outside and eat lunch with me? I'd love to get to know you. And she just looks at me and puts earbuds in her ears and turns on some music. And my thought is, man, she's not very nice. Then that afternoon, I'm leaving and, I'm going to give it like one last effort because it was a really good day other than my coworker. And I say, okay, see you tomorrow. And she doesn't even respond. And my thought is, she's not nice. Okay. That is how a neural pathway is developed. That is how thoughts become a belief because then over time and actually relatively quickly, that thought gets repeated and then it becomes a belief. And then that belief gives a shading to every interaction that I have with her from here on out because my belief is that specific coworker isn't nice. Now, is it true? Maybe, but it doesn't really matter at this point. The point is that now that has become a belief that I have because it's just a thought that I have on repeat. Our brains are evidence making machines. So as soon as I have a thought, now my brain is like, okay, let's go find evidence. So my thought is she's not very nice. Now my brain's like, okay, let's go find evidence for the thought that she's not very nice. And then it repeats over time and it becomes a belief. This is why the picture that you see in front of you, this image is so great because this is literally like a neural pathway. So think about it like a sledding hill. So that first time that you go down that sledding hill, it's kind of a slow run, right? Because you're forming the path. Okay, that's exactly how a neural pathway is built. Like it's not a very quick thought at first, but then you climb back up the hill and you go down again, you go down that same path and it's a little bit quicker that time. You climb up the hill, you go down that same path again and it's quicker and quicker and quicker every time. And before you know it, there's no other path that you can take. You are just like zooming down this path over and over again. That's what a neural pathway is like. So a belief is any thought that is on repeat. Okay. So let's look at it like with this loop. I call this the loop. Okay. This comes from cognitive behavior therapy, and it also comes from just some different coaching modalities that I use with my clients. Okay. But it's super duper helpful. So here's the loop that we're all in at any given time. We've got a situation up at the very top, then a thought, a physical feeling follows that, then an emotion, and then an action. Okay. So at any given point in your day, any relationships that you have, personal or professional, anything that happens in your work setting or at home, We are constantly in these loops. Okay. I'm going to give you two examples just to keep it kind of short and sweet, but I'm going to give you two work examples of this loop that I'm talking about. So here's the first example. Okay. So the situation is my boss sends me an email to meet her in her office at 10 minutes. That's the situation. My thought might be, ugh, I'm in trouble again. The physical sensation is my heart rate increases. My emotion is fear, and my action is I come into the office already defensive, ready to defend my job and my actions. That's a loop. Okay. Here's another example of a loop. Okay. My coworkers are going to dinner, but nobody invited me. My thought might be, nobody likes me. Then that physical sensation is a sinking feeling in my belly. The emotion is sadness. And then the action is I isolate at my desk and I don't engage for the rest of the day. Okay. So you can see how these loops, like it in your own life right now, you can probably start. That's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of start thinking about different loops that you are in. Okay. So here's the deal. The question is, where is the power to change? All right. 9 times out of 10, when I do this workshop, everyone says the right answer. Okay. But in real life, when we're actually thinking about it, if we're being honest about it, in real life, we really focus on the wrong part. Okay. So, where is the power to change? All right. The power to change is in your thoughts. Okay. So, here's what typically happens though. Typically, we really focus on changing the situation, that top part of the cycle. So we say things like, gosh, if my boss was just kinder to me, or if my boss would come to my office instead of emailing me all of these, random emails to come to her office, or my coworker, if my coworker was just nicer, or if my coworker would just talk to me and tell me what was going on, everything would be okay. So we tend to, as human beings, we really focus on the situation. But what I'm going to challenge you to do, especially with building EQ, is to really focus on the thoughts. Okay. So when we focus on the thoughts, everything can change. The loop can change. And we're going to look at how it happens. Okay. So these are two of the exact same loops that we've seen, but the first one on the left is the one that we've seen. So she sends me an email that says to meet her in her office in 10 minutes. And my thought is, okay, I'm in trouble. Heart rate increases. I feel fear. I come into the office defensive and it doesn't go well. Okay. The second one, the one on the right, is the exact same starting point because we're not going to focus on changing the situation because so many times we don't have power to change the situation. The only thing that we have power to change is our thoughts. So the situation stays the same. My boss sends me an email to meet her in her office in 10 minutes. My thought, though, on this loop is, I wonder what she wants. Okay. Now, then the feeling in my body is totally different. The sensations in my body, my heart and my hands are open, my chest feels lighter because I'm feeling the emotion of curiosity. I feel curious. And then I come into the office ready to ask questions and get feedback. Now, will this loop happen exactly as it's written out like this? Maybe not. No. But the point is that, or maybe it will, but the point is that I change my thought about the situation and then everything else in the loop changes. Okay? Let's do another one. Same one that we did before. So the coworkers are going to dinner, but nobody invited me. Though the cycle on the left is the one that we've already seen. If my thought is nobody likes me, sinking feeling in my belly, I feel sad and I isolate. Okay. If you go to the one on your right, okay, so the situation doesn't change. My coworkers are going to dinner, but nobody invited me. But now my thought is maybe they assume I have plans. So my heart rate increases a little bit because I'm like, well, maybe they're assuming that I already have dinner plans. So my heart rate increases a little bit. I feel nervous. And the action is I ask if I can join them. Okay. So again, will that happen exactly as it's written out? Probably not. But the point is that the power is in the thoughts. Okay. All right. So here's what I always have people do. And so I recommend you guys doing this right now. Okay. So pull out a post-it note, and this is so helpful for your teams to build EQ. It sounds like such a simple practice, but once you become aware of this loop that you're caught in, it is a game changer. So this is how I do it. Okay. I pull out a bunch of post-its. Okay. And you can do it just on one post-it. Like I just for time, for space sake, I did this on one post-it. But what I really like to do with my team is I will do like a post it for the situation. So you write out the situation just like in an observing way. Okay. Like this is what happened. If I was an investigator, I would write down this is exactly what happened. Okay. That's your situation. Then get out another post it and you write down your thought. Okay. One, you probably have a million thoughts about the situation, especially if it's one that you feel a lot of frustration and annoyance and it feels like it's been going on for a long time. You probably have a million thoughts. Choose one thought. Okay. Then write down your feeling, what happens in your body after you have that thought, because the thought is like the gas pedal for the rest of the loop. Then you write down your emotion. Again, you probably have several emotions, but I found that the simpler the better. So just write down one emotion and then your action. Okay. So then you as leaders can do this with your team of really mapping out, okay, so where are you in the loop? And how can we change the loop? What's another thought? Okay. Now, here's the guiding questions for this. All right. First off, know where you are in the loop at all times. Okay. So be able, once you have seen this loop and you kind of do a couple with on your own, you can do them like your professional loops, the things that happen for you at work. You can also do them at home, your personal loops. Okay. So know where you are in the loop. And then you ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Okay. Which is a very open handed question. If the answer is yes, great, keep it. That's the good part about thoughts. We get to keep them. Okay. So if, if you're coaching a colleague and your colleague is like, yeah, that thought is serving me. Okay. Even if you're like, there's no way that thought is serving you. I can tell you're getting red right here. Your blood pressure is high. Like that thought is not serving you. But if they say yes, okay, great. You get to keep your thought. That's the cool part about thoughts. If the question is this thought serving me? And the answer is no, great. My answer is then choose a thought that feels good. Now, here's where this is positive psychology kind of gets a bad rap, okay? Because this is not just think happy thoughts and everything will be great. This is not what this is, okay? I cannot just go into work if let's use that coworker at the beginning on the slide with the sledding hill, the coworker at the beginning who I'm like, man, she's mean. Man, she's not very nice. She's not very nice. Okay. I can't just automatically say, oh, she's my favorite coworker in the whole world. I can't say that. That is not a thought that feels good either because it's a lie. Okay. So we're not looking for just these happy, clappy, positive thoughts. If you noticed in one of the loops, I just the thought was, let me go back to it. Let me go back here because the thought was, I wonder what she wants. If you cannot reach for like a positive thought, go for a neutral thought, a thought of curiosity. I wonder what, I wonder what she's thinking. Or that's so interesting that he's responding in that way. Just a neutral thought will serve you so much better than that negative thought that you're kind of stuck in. Okay. So you get to keep your thoughts. If it's a thought that's not serving you, great. Then choose a thought that feels good. And then if you can't grab a thought that feels good, then choose a neutral thought. Okay. So that is it in a nutshell. Now listen, I just did that in what's my timer say? In 12 minutes. Okay. So that is just like a Google Earth, like 50,000-foot view of the work that you can do with these beliefs, with the thoughts that are the loops that we are in. Okay. Now, the last slide is I offer 3 workshops to organizations. So if there's a workshop in here that you're like, gosh, I would love for that to be brought to my team, then just shoot me an email at jamie@sacredgroundcoaching.com. But I right now I currently offer 3 workshops, okay? And they are all based on one of these V's, okay? So from burnout to balance using EQ to manage stress, that's going to be all of those coping skills that we learned in a nutshell with the brain and the belief and the body. Okay. So that's the one that really focuses on the tools to calm those 3 B's. EQ in action. Okay. Navigating difficult conversations with confidence. That's what we talked about, those other C's. And I misspoke at the beginning of this slide. I said it was the 3 B's. It's the C's that we talked about in the presentation, right? The calming leadership, coaching conversations, and conflict resolution. So each of these workshops are going to really target one of those C's. Okay, so that first one is the calming leadership. The second one, that EQ in action, that really targets that conflict resolution skill that we need to really build EQ in our teams. And then the last one is emotional intelligence and coaching, building stronger connections, and that's all about those really deep coaching conversations. How do you make those meaningful? So if that's something that you are interested in, please feel free to shoot me an email. Or if you have any questions about the presentation or this bonus video, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that I can get back to Zoom. But it was lovely seeing you all again. And I look forward to hearing from you.